Trust Me Travel presents a series of travel narratives called Travel Time with Robert and Tracy. This time we are headed off to a remote island of the Pacific Ocean called Fakarava. Yes, I know it sounds like Fartalava, but that's its name. It's part of the Tuamotu archipelago in French Polynesia. Why go to Fakarava? It is a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. That means it has a pristine coral reef ecosystem which has attracted the world's highest concentration of sharks. These are gray reef sharks. There's estimated to be about 700 sharks in a single school with permanent residency here in the atoll. They come here to feed upon grouper that are attracted to the spawning grounds. But they also have snorkeling for those who are not certified divers. There's pristine reefs, of course, and there are multiple places reachable mostly by boat. There are several, at the last count, at least 5 snorkel and dive operations to choose from. Accommodations are perhaps a little more rustic. There isn't any high-rise hotels here, and they generally don't have air conditioning. They have some gorgeous beaches, this one being closest to the pier at the port. Probably not the best, but as you get farther away, they get more and more gorgeous. Most of them, unfortunately, are reachable only by boat. This pink sand beach at the very south end can be reached by boat, and your boat will be the only one there. This is an atoll island, which means that there is a central lagoon surrounded by land. Total land and lagoon is around 430 square miles, but only 9 of that is dry land. And it's narrow land, not very high either, 15 feet high in average, only 850 feet on average between the lagoon and the ocean. Population is small, around 900 people. Where is Fakarava? Located 280 miles north and east of Tahiti, it is the second largest atoll. Well, what's an atoll? It's a low-lying island surrounding a central lagoon. It's sometimes quite round in shape. The most famous atoll is Bikini Atoll because of nuclear testing. Atolls form over tens of millions of years, starting off as a volcanic island like the big island of Hawaii. They then develop a reef around them, like Kauai. That reef grows and the volcano subsides, such as at Bora Bora. Finally, the volcano's completely gone and you have just an atoll. And they can be various shapes. This is Fakarava. It's quite rectangular, as you can see, and very large. You can get to Fakarava either on an airplane or by a boat. Air Tahiti Nui, of course, flies there from the island of Tahiti. They do have a modern airport. This here is the terminal building, not very big, but they do have one. We arrived on a cruise ship called the Connings Dam. We, of course, swelled the population with everybody on, but another smaller ship makes an infrequent call. This is an interesting thing, a cargo passenger ship that makes bi-weekly calls to the islands. A lot of private sailboat and yachts arrive. The original inhabitants arrived by boat as well. Migrating from Malaysia through Samoa and Fiji, they eventually inhabited the Tuamotus. They traveled by these double-hull ocean crossing canoes. Modern reenactments show that they are in fact quite seaworthy. How do the 900 inhabitants make a living? Tourism is quite important. They have the airport and they paved the roads, but copra started as an industry in the 1800s, and these are farms of coconut trees where they grow the coconut. The coconut has to be husked, have the outside taken off. It's then dried in the sun, and the oil is pressed out, and we buy it in here in the States as coconut oil. Pearl farming has become important in the last 50 years. Black lip oysters produce black Tahitian pearls. Juvenile oysters are grown into larger ones that actually produce the pearls. There are shops that will sell locally grown pearls, and they are gorgeous. The interesting thing about the shop, you step outside and you see the world famous sharks just swimming around entertaining the customers. It's a win-win situation for Tracy and I. She gets to shop, I get to see the sharks. Most people on the island live in the little village Rotoava. They have put in a lot of effort to attract tourism in recent years. Of course, our cruise ship is way too big to dock. This is the commercial pier. Not a whole lot there, but they do have a sort of a bus. Schedules infrequent, but your hotel will have shuttle services. You can rent these little motor scooters, and if you really want to take it slow, they have a lot of bicycle rentals. But the best way to get around on the island is by water taxi, and every accommodation and tour operator will have one. Shopping is, well, you do have these little boutique shops, if you want to call it that, and of course we've already talked about the pearl shop with the sharks, but they do have several general stores. Here is one, but also they have this little gem of a church, St. John of the Cross. Not too much on the outside, but the inside is stunningly beautiful. They have quite a bit of pride in this building. Another surprise, given the population size of the island, was the school. The central government of French Polynesia puts a lot of money into education, and it kind of shows here. Other island nations, you have to go to a bigger island or somewhere else for elementary school. This lighthouse really isn't a lighthouse. It was built in 1957 to help communicate with other atolls off in the distance. It looks a little bit like Chichen Itza, but you know, it's there. Main Street, well, you don't see any, office buildings. Residential areas are actually pretty nice, and everybody has a boat, either in the water or, here is it, or on land. Side street to the lagoon, you can see our ship off to the side. You turn the other direction, and we are on our way to see the Pacific Ocean. The oceanside beach isn't really very attractive. I mean, you get the big waves. These waves are what causes the atoll to form after all. Tracy and I have arranged a snorkeling tour with a company called O2 Fakarava. O2 has multiple locations throughout French Polynesia. We are on a boat. This is kind of what we expected to see based upon brochures. This is the same location as the picture, and this is what we actually see. But underwater, it was stunning. We don't have a camera underwater, but these are pictures from the internet that show basically what we saw. And the water was clear. We were not disappointed. We saw a couple of sharks in the area. They were very friendly. We left them alone. They left us alone. A yellow trumpet fish, Tracy's favorite. The problem with cruise ships are they don't wait for anybody. You can't extend your stay longer, even if you want to. Tendering back out to the ship, we on our sail away, saying goodbye. This is a beautiful little atoll in the middle of the Pacific. Fakarava was a pleasant surprise, much more developed than I had anticipated. Modern conveniences. Our next destination has more conveniences than you can shake a stick at, including traffic jams, lots of people. We're headed to the island of Tahiti. Perhaps I'm a little harsh in my comments about cars and people, but after Fakarava, Tahiti was crowded. But that's next time on Travel Time with Robert and Tracy, presented by Trust Me Travel. Fakarava was, despite the interesting name, a delightful surprise. It had the best snorkeling that I have seen in a great while. The sharks were just a bonus.